Hi there! In this tutorial, we're going to look at Java string concatenation. Concatenation is taking two strings and making them one. Now there's several ways to do this, each with their own advantages and disadvantages. When building applications, we need to join some static messages with a dynamic message. For example, maybe we need to prepare a greeting in our application. This way we can say, "Hello George," instead of just a simple "hello." To do that, we could create two strings. The first string is just hello. The second string we might read from an application setting or a database. For this example, we'll just set it to George. To join two strings, we use the plus operator. It's that simple. Join string now equals hello George. We might not need to create a variable hello. It depends on our application, but we could replace the variable with a string literal like this. The result is still hello George. Let's look at what happened in our example. We have a string instance of hello. It doesn't matter if we use a literal or a variable. In both cases, the string is interned. And we have a string for the name George. That's two string instances in memory. When we create the new string, hello George, that's a third string instance. Remember, strings are immutable. We can't change strings. We can only create new ones. Now, if we never use the hello string, Java will eventually clear the instance from memory. Yet, we can run into problems with memory and performance if we create too many strings. Imagine if we're creating a log file. In our loop, we want to add to our string a log entry. We'll keep the message simple. We'll just say visit number and the number of the visit. The variable CR is the carriage return. So in this example, we have one string for visit number. Then we create a string for that particular number. So visit 1, visit 2, visit so on. Our newly created strings in the string pool. We also have strings for log and carriage return. Then we add it to our log string, and here's where we see our string problem get out of control. We're creating a new string every time we add a log entry. Every string is an individual, immutable object instance. So we're creating a ton of objects we use, then throw away. What we need is a string that we can change. And Java has just what we need. There's another class for representing strings called StringBuilder. This class gives you a collection of string manipulation methods. It also gives us a string which is modifiable. Since Java manipulates the string on the heap, it doesn't enter the string pool. There's another class called StringBuffer, which is similar, but it's thread safe and it's slower. We'll want to use StringBuilder for most programs unless we need the thread safety. So in our original example, we could build a string like this. Then, when we're ready, we'll call toString and our string builder returns a single string. But for this example, we're not saving much. The string builder helps us more when we're building longer strings. The key point here is we need to be aware about how many instances we create when concatenating strings. For small programs, it's usually not a big deal, but once we start concatenating strings in loops, we can run into problems. Now the last way to concatenate strings is to use the string format method on the string class. This method gives us much more control over how we assemble our strings. Since Java 6, Java uses a string builder behind the scenes when we compile simple string concatenation. So there isn't any difference in performance using this code or the string builder code. Concatenation is simpler to read, so everyone's gone back to using just the plus operator. But of course, it's not that simple. Let's go back to our logging example to see what's happening here. If we use simple string concatenation, this is what Java's changing it to. So we're creating string builders in every loop. That's thousands of string builders and strings. It's not helping us since we still create the log string over and over again. What we need to do is move the creation of the string builder outside of our loop. This means we're creating one string builder. We're adding our single visit number string directly to the builder, and at the end we convert the builder to one string. This is much more efficient. The key point here is we need to be more aware about how many instances we create when concatenating strings. For small programs, it's usually not a big deal, but once we start concatenating strings in a loop, we can run into big problems. The last way to concatenate strings is to use the string format method on the string class. This method gives us much more control about how we assemble our strings. For example, if we wanted to print the page number at the bottom of every page, we can specify the format of our string. We could use concatenation, but imagine our requirements are to provide many different formats of the page message. We might say page 1 of 2, or maybe the message is of the 2 pages, this one is number 1, or any other message you can think of. We can create a long case statement for formatting, but someone's always going to come up with more cases. The simpler way is to pass a format string and then the objects we want to add to the string in order. This gives us a complete flexibility on how we combine our strings. This power comes at a price. It's slower, much slower. We'll see string format used on strings needing localization for a particular language. Sometimes it's because we want to control the formatting of particular parts of a string. We'll cover string formatting more in future lessons. So that is string concatenation. We looked at how we can combine strings, how string builders help us build dynamic strings, how concatenation works in current versions of Java, and why we need to pay attention to how Java combines our strings. If you have any questions, add them to the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and share. And with that, I'll see you in the next tutorial.